Hey guys, it's Kevin here with the new warehouse. Welcome to episode 6 of All Hands. If you've missed previous episodes, you can check out our YouTube channel, which is linked in the description, and also throw it in the comments as well, so you can easily find it. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can get updated whenever new videos come out, and we'll be having more videos coming out this year as well. Definitely trying to pick up on the video side. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this show. And also thank you if you listen to the audio podcast as well. We had fly tracks, and we also had Pitney Bowes featured on the audio podcast this week as well. So definitely check those out if you haven't. Coming up next month, March, we are almost there on the way. We are going to be at ProMat. We'll have a booth, N10130, which we'll be doing podcast at, and we'll be doing maybe some live streams there as well. And we'll be around the show, definitely checking out all the different booths and reporting back to you. And if you're going to be there, definitely reach out. I'd be happy to connect with you. So on today's show, we're going to get a safety tip from Richard Walsh of AMP. And then we're also going to hear from my friends at Veryable. We're going to talk to Wes Wood. We're going to talk a little bit about the Veryable platform and how that works. But first, let's hear that safety tip from Richard.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me. My name is Rich Walsh. I work for AMP in Atlanta, Georgia. AMP stands for Athlete Management Platform. We have found ourselves recently in the industrial setting. We work with athletic trainers, injury prevention service providers, safety professionals, HR, workers' comp. We work with folks that are invested in their workforce in terms of health, fitness, and well-being. If you kind of look at kind of the market today, things are tight in the supply chain. Human capital management is important. We can have all the bells and whistles and robotics and AI, but really it starts with a fit, happy, healthy employee. For our tip from AMP to you in the warehouse industry, really invest up front in those employees and ensure that you have a fit, conditioned, hardened athlete as they take to the physical needs of their day. So thank you, Kevin, for allowing us to share a little bit about how we interoperate and what we think is an opportunity for the warehousing industry in health, safety, and employee well-being.
And thank you to Rich for that great safety tip today. And if you want to share your own warehouse safety tip, you can sign up at the link in the description or in the comments. And we'll also be recording safety tips at our booth at ProMat. So if you're going to be at ProMat, stop by, come and share your safety tip to be featured on a future episode of All Hands. So now we're going to get into my discussion with Wes Wood of Veryable, and Veryable is bringing you on-demand labor. And I've been using Veryable personally for about a year now, and you're going to hear a little bit about that experience, and you're also going to get an insight into how the platform works and how you can really leverage and utilize that tool in your operation. So very, very powerful tool. So here's my conversation with Wes. Hey, I'm joined today by Wes Wood. He's the Director of Strategic Growth for the Southeast at Veryable. And you guys may be familiar with Veryable. If you listen to the audio podcast, you're following me on LinkedIn, I've talked about them multiple times, and they've been on the podcast as well. I actually utilized them in our micro-fulfillment center in Philadelphia. And they've been a key factor to allowing us to flex up and down with labor when we need to increase our capacity or decrease our capacity with really no kind of strings attached. Actually, it's a pretty powerful platform. So we're going to talk to Wes today about Veryable and just kind of the benefits of it. And we're actually going to dive into a little demo of the platform, how it works, how you can increase your capacity on demand and have more flexibility within your labor and the workforce that you utilize. So Wes, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thanks, Kevin. Good. Appreciate the invite.
Definitely happy to have you on. I know we've talked a couple times, and I had a couple of your colleagues on the podcast and stuff, but definitely excited to be able to kind of visually show Veryable and what it is that you guys do on the video series we have here now as well. So tell us, I guess, a little bit, brief overview from your perspective. What is Veryable?
Sure. So Variable at its core is a tech company, or a tech company based out of Dallas, Texas, and we provide an operational tool that allows operations leaders in the manufacturing and or logistics distribution-based environment to flex their headcount, their labor capacity on a day-to-day basis, utilizing our on-demand labor marketplace. So we've got an app that we've got hundreds of thousands of workers across the country that have downloaded it onto their phone. They use that app to access this marketplace. Companies use that marketplace to post what we call ops, individual work opportunities, typically, a shift at their facility. So folks are signing up to work one shift at a time, usually in addition to a full-time job somewhere else, or they can piece together a full-time schedule through our platform. But for the workers, it provides a lot of flexibility, enables them to kind of pick and choose what companies they work, which days around their availability. And for the companies, it gives you flexibility, scale that labor capacity, basically instantaneously, 24, 48 hours in advance, so that you're always optimally staffed at your operation. You're never overstaffed, paying for people that you don't necessarily need to be there, and you're never understaffed where you're paying overtime and running up lead times, that type of thing.
I think it's a great tool. Like I said, I've used it myself now for almost a year at our micro fulfillment center in Philadelphia, and it's been a fantastic tool, especially as we're starting up and able to create that flexibility where we're still kind of figuring out where's our volume level is going to be at, and we're growing as we're adding brands as well. Being able to get somebody within 24 hours notice, less than 24 hours notice is a great thing, and it certainly helped us through our first Black Friday, Cyber Monday peak season. Variable certainly helped us out a lot there, getting some people in the door for packing and helping with loading trucks and things like that, as we were kind of seeing like 4 and 5x the volume that we had seen so far. So really, really great stuff. So tell us, I guess, from your perspective, before we dive into the demo here, I mean, what's the one major benefit you think that businesses see from using Variable?
Yeah, really our ultimate goal is to remove labor as an operational constraint altogether. So if you're talking to a potential customer as a 3PL about taking on a contract, we don't want you to have to worry as a company about if you're going to have enough people to get it done. We want you to focus on growing your company, completely constraint free from a labor perspective.
Great. And I think that's huge, especially as, you look at just the ebb and flow of and the nature of our business. Like I mentioned, my situation, during peak season, Black Friday, holidays, we're looking at, 4 or 5x the volume that we had been seeing throughout the year. So being able to flex like that, I think is a huge thing. And certainly, the cost of hiring full time is there. But then, you also don't want to end up having to lay a bunch of people off after holidays and things like that. So I think Variable is a great tool to allow you to do that flex in and out. So really interesting stuff. But let's look at the platform itself, Wes, and show us kind of how it works, and what some of the capabilities actually are within there, because it's a pretty powerful tool. Aside from just being able to get you some labor on demand.
Sure. So I'll show you just kind of a brief overview of some of the capabilities of this platform. So here I've got a company pulled up. This is in our greater Atlanta area. So this is the dashboard that they would log into. And again, this is a tool built for operations managers. So this isn't something that traditionally lives within HR or anything like that. This is something that operations manager, that supervisor out on the floor is accessing in real time. So here we can see in this top left-hand chart what their week-to-date op count is, these opportunities they're posting on a weekly basis going back. So, last week they posted, was at 186 ops. The week before that, it was 238. Each week you've got different volume, different amount of people they're bringing in. If that line was steady across the board, then that would indicate that maybe this company needs more full-time employees. They've got predictable volume, that type of thing. It's worth maybe bringing on a full-time employee. But the fact that you're seeing differentiation week over week means that, if they were to staff to the average of that trend line, they would almost never be optimally staffed. They'd either be too high or too low. So we're allowing them to ride that demand curve in real time. This central portion, so they've identified 620 people, 620 operators from our platform that they have added to their company specific favorites list. So these are workers that have been to their facility in the past, they've worked shifts in the past, they've worked these ops, they've shown good work ethic. They're people that this company would like to see again in the future. So they segment them off into their labor pool. And the idea is that a company builds up this labor pool to be large enough to where if they need to, they can rely solely on this labor pool for their day-to-day needs. So they're reducing any sort of training time, any sort of safety considerations, anything like that. These are people that they know, they like, they're just not there every day. And then this overall rating. So at the end of every op, the worker gets rated by their supervisor, just like you would rate your Uber driver, something like that. But then that worker, that operator also has the chance to rate that company, giving you real-time feedback on how you're perceived by your workers. So this company's got a 4.6, so pretty good overall.
Yeah, I think the dashboard there, I think, is a great kind of snapshot of some of the capabilities of Veryable. And I'll say for myself, like the labor pool situation, I think is a great thing, because then I think we'll see here in a little bit too. But when you post the op, like you can go directly into that labor pool, and you already know that those people, from an operations perspective, like they already know what to do, like they're trained, and you know that they're reliable too, because you're able to kind of control that labor pool. And I think that's been a great experience for me.
Yeah, the labor pools is really critical to this whole model, because we talk to companies all the time that say, hey, you know what, our culture is really important to us. Safety is obviously very important. It's complex what we do. You have to have training on our facility and everything. But by building out this labor pool, you're basically building an extension of your full-time workforce. You're building out this group of workers that have all those same positive attributes of your full-time workers. They're just not there on a daily basis. They're only there on an as-needed basis. And when we see companies transition from pulling people that they don't know in to transitioning to relying on their labor pool for their daily needs, we see attendance ratings over 95%. Our safety incident rating is lower than like basically anybody in terms of, when you compare them to your full-time employees, anything like that. Yeah. So it really is a critical component of the overall model.
Nice.
So if we go down here to the bottom, you can see, we call this your high volume dashboard. So right now, you're looking at schedule for this week. Today is the 6th. So you've got one day in arrears. You're looking out throughout the rest of the week. Each one of these little bubbles represents a type of work that is being performed in this facility. So as a company, you can segment the work that's done in your facility on our platform. You can create different templates of ops assigned to each portion of work, each work area. So this company has segmented their work areas into receiving, inventory control, embroidery, replenishment, fulfillment, general returns, fulfillment packing. And so you can see, like today, for example, they have used our platform to post ops in receiving, inventory control, embroidery, replenishment, fulfillment. They don't need any help in general returns or fulfillment packing today. So each one of these, likely a manager in charge of each of these different work areas, each one of those managers is looking at their forecast, on whatever cadence they get that forecast, maybe a week out, and they're saying, okay, within my area, I'm going to grab my template on Veryable, and I'm going to post out, I need 4 people on Monday, 4 people on Tuesday, 8 people on Wednesday. They're picking day by day how many people they think they need to be optimally staffed.
Okay. The template too, I think is important to note, is like it's basically like a job description, right?
Yeah, it's a truncated version of a job description. These are all 1099 contractors to Veryable that you are accessing via this marketplace. So it doesn't need to be as robust as a typical job description you would post out on like a job search site or something like that. It just gives, a brief description of the work to be done. So this bid process is important to explain. So as a company, when you post an op, you're saying, hey, we need this certain type of work to be done. We want to pay you X number of dollars. that goes out to the marketplace. So all the workers on the other side, they've got their app. They're going to see all of the ops that are posted in their immediate area, all the prices that correlate with that work to be done, and they bid on it. So it's a two-way street. So in this case, this company was offering, let's see, $116 for that op. They wanted 4 people. Basic description. You've got the amount they're willing to pay, where they're going to meet up, real simple from a template standpoint. And then here you've got all the individuals that bid on that. So, the offer was $116. You've got all of these folks that bid exactly what that offer was, $116. They got the 4 they needed, and then these were all the people they turned away. So most of these are going to bid exactly what the offer is.
Right.
But you'll see some, like this person, that offered to do it for a little bit more money. So if you have somebody with a stellar background, strong track record, maybe as a company, you're willing to pay a little bit more money, but it is this 2-directional marketplace that allows us to find kind of that wage equilibrium.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I've seen this, some people bid lower as well.
Yeah. So I mean, just take this as an example. So this op was posted, They wanted 4 people, they accepted 4, they turned away 80. So that's a lot of incentive if you're one of those 80 people to maybe offer to do it for less money next time. Maybe if they're offering 116, maybe offer to do it for 110, something like that, to try and be more competitive.
Yeah. So now I guess the question is, I'll let you answer this question. I know the answer, but so you got 80 people or 84 people essentially, right? That bid on this op, and you only need 4, right? So how do you pick out and choose like who to select?
Yeah. So the easiest way is just to check the box that says autofill and allow our algorithm. And you can set some of those parameters on the algorithm to automatically pick the best candidate as soon as possible to lock that person in. But if you wanted to go in and manually check, you've got these little thumbnails on everybody. So, all right. So these are these people that bid that got turned away, right? So if we look at, let's just pick the first one. So Andrew, you've got this little kind of scorecard based on his experience on our platform so far.
Yeah.
So Andrew has worked 48 ops on us with a 76% reliability rating. So not the best on reliability. Maybe not the absolute worst, but not stellar. Withdrawal rate, he's withdrawn 12% of the time. So that means he bid on an op, he was accepted on an op, and then he backed out before the op started. So in practical terms, from a company's perspective, they're just going to pick the next one of those 80 people that said they would want to do it and bump them into the slot, but it still impacts Andrew's reliability rating. Every single operator goes through a background check to even be able to work on our platform. We have them identify if they speak Spanish, if they're a student. Andrew's been a member since August. So to give you an idea of the frequency that a lot of these operators use our platform. So Andrew's been using us for about 6 months and he's done 48 ops. So again, it's not his full-time thing. He's likely got a job somewhere else. He uses us to make some extra money outside of his normal working hours.
Right.
It does have a 4.7 rating out of 5 stars. So solid rating there. If we look at skills and experience, you can see what skills he's self-identified that he has. So he says he has warehousing experience, assembly experience, forklift, administrative. But on top of just seeing what he says he has, you can see where they've actually completed ops in the past. So utilizing the warehouse skill set, Andrew has done 21 ops for Uniform Advantage and 15 for Southeast Pet, right? And then 1 for forklift. So he hasn't done any assembly yet. So you have to take his word on it if you wanted to do any assembly work. But by going to this type of approach, we're trying to get away from the typical kind of resume where you're having to just trust somebody on what they say they can do and try and move more to a model where, if Andrew says he's solid in warehousing and he's got a 5-star rating after 48 ops or whatever, then he must actually be good in this area. Any certifications they have, OSHA forklift trained will show up here. And then you can also see what milestones they've accomplished.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah. And
could
I
see
think
that for each one of these individuals.
yeah, and I think this portion of the platform, I have to say, I think it's my favorite thing that you guys do is this rating system and being able to see the experiences and have the ratings from other places for the operators, because look at the traditional way of getting some labor that's not full-time labor. You kind of, like you mentioned you're kind of relying on maybe a resume, maybe not. You have people coming in and you're kind of blind to really what their experience is and how they've performed at other companies and what they've done. So I think this is like a huge win for operations, especially when you're talking about bringing somebody in for a day or 2 days. You want to know that they're gonna be there and they're gonna work well. I mean, I've had experiences where we've said we need somebody to drive a deep reach forklift, and they come in and they've never touched a deep reach forklift in their life. So it's being able to find
Yeah.
that great fit on variable with these options of seeing actually what they've done and where they've done it and their rating and all those things, I think is just a fantastic tool.
Yeah, and so on that last screen, you saw everyone that bid, right? So there were people with mediocre attendance ratings, people with high attendance ratings, star ratings all over the board. Now we're on the operators tab, and now you can see all these folks with the check mark are
Hmm.
people that have been added to this company's labor pool. So they've gone through that at least one op with this company, and they've been found to be high quality, and they're added to this labor pool. So if you click into here, now you've got somebody who's done 20 ops with 100% reliability, with a perfect 5-star rating. Now you're
Nice.
kind of
Send them,
separating
send them
the
up to Philadelphia.
cream. Yeah, yeah. So we've got badges, so you can tell, if they're veterans, if they're Spanish speaking. You
Yeah.
can sort and filter, and if you wanted to, let's say you had some flash sale or some new contract that came in that was going to be super short in duration, but you needed to know without a doubt these people could perform. You
Yeah.
could post an op just to these high performers if you wanted. That's where we really see the magic happen. Once a company's identified enough of these high performers, that's really where it sticks. This is what our operator heat map looks like for Atlanta,
Yeah.
right? So, and it'll take a second because there's a lot of people to populate here, but we're talking like almost 100,000 people just in the greater Atlanta area that have downloaded
Wow.
this app specifically looking to work in a distribution or manufacturing environment. So you're not getting somebody that maybe yesterday was a bartender and today they're just trying to look, for the next gig style app. These are
Yeah.
people that are from this industry, familiar with this industry, know what type of work they're signing up for, and that really increases our business user experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really impressive. The amount of potential labor that's tapped into just variable, right? And that you're able to potentially tap into with your business and touching on the labor pool situation. I mean, for me, being a startup within the last year and needing that reliability in certain cases when volume has been uncertain or like you said, like we brought in a new client or we're getting like a big delivery we need to handle fairly quickly with short notice. I mean, being able to bring in people that have experience, familiar with the space, and familiar with the product a little bit as well is a huge key. And I will say from my experience and the business experience, I mean, when you sign up for variable, you want to definitely like take that little bit of time to build up that labor pool, because it's going to come in handy like so much when you like really need it, and being able to get a couple of people trained and working within that labor pool and call on them when you need them. And I think that the great thing is that there's that understanding because the operator, like you said, is on the app because they need flexibility as well, just like you need flexibility. Whereas there's no sense of like is there going to be a longer term commitment, and because you can't give them a certain amount of hours, they don't want to work with you or something like that. I think it's that mutual understanding too that the app creates. So it's a really really great tool. And I think, more businesses should be utilizing it. I know you guys are continuing to expand throughout the United States, and it would be great to see, how it continues to develop. I've had great success with it, and I'll continue to use it for, I don't know, maybe forever. But it's a really great thing. So anything else you want to add about Variable before we kind of wrap up here?
I think the main thing is I just talk about our footprint for a second. So again, I mentioned our
Sure.
headquarters are in Dallas. We've expanded pretty much all across the Southeast, pretty much all throughout the Midwest. We're working our way into the Northeast right now. So you're actually in Pennsylvania, located on kind of our leading edge of
Right.
where we have our presence. So we're not entirely nationwide yet. We are in 20 different states. And we have physical offices in about 30 cities across those 20 states. So we do have people out in the field. We know this is a new concept. We're trying to get operations leaders to think about labor in a different way. And so we believe that we need to be there in person, willing to walk through their facilities with them to kind of guide them through that process. We're perfectly willing to have those conversations. So if you're on the West Coast, if you're in California, sorry, we're not there yet. Maybe eventually. But yeah, this idea is really catching on like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting too. You mentioned that, just kind of rolling out a little bit in the Northeast and Pennsylvania where I'm working out of. And even though like it's not, fully launched there yet, I mean, we're getting, 30 to 50 bids already on ops that we post, even though like it hasn't
Yeah.
been publicized in the area or anything like that. So it's really, really great platform. I think and the operators that I talk to too, they really enjoy it as well. And it makes a lot of sense. And I think too, actually, before we close up, something important, there's no contract, right, to sign
Yeah.
up.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a key battle we always fight. Companies, we've talked to them for the first time, they assume we're a staffing company or like a staffing company with a website type
Right.
model. And it really is an operations tool, a fundamentally different approach to labor. So there's no contracts, there's no retainer fee, there's no minimum use commitment, anything like that. It's strictly pay as you go. So if you tell someone you're going to pay them $100 for an op, we're going to front that money the very next day to that operator. And then at the end of the week, we're going to bill you for that $100 plus 30%. So that 30% markup is usually cheaper than your fully burdened full-time employee rate, usually cheaper than any staffing company you're going to find. And it's purely pay as you go. So if you use us, use 0 people this week through our platform, then you pay $0. So it's zero cost to scale, as we say.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing because it really gives you just that overall flexibility as an operation. And the great thing, if you're a new warehouse listener, you can actually sign up for Variable your business and get the first month with no fees. And the link to do that is in the show notes, and I'll drop it in the comments too. So Wes, it's been great to talk to you and be able to showcase this powerful tool to the audience that I've been utilizing for over a year now, and I'm very excited about. So thank you very much for your time on the show today.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you helping us get the word out.